Hello and welcome to Sonic Lore, History of Mobius. In my previous retelling of the Archie Sonic story, I told numerous stories about Sonic fighting against Robotnik's badniks. Now, it's time for the first appearances of Bunnie Rabbot and Super Sonic. Sonic's first adventure began when he entered Knothole after receiving Sally's request to meet with her. After Sonic greeted her, Sally told him to look at some pictures Rotor had taken recently. Sally pointed out that the photos showed Robotnik making deep inroads in the southern section of Mobius. Rotor was worried about the situation, but Sonic knew what to do. He quickly grabbed Rotor and headed to where the photos were taken. On their way there, they made a short stop at the sporting goods store to buy rollerblades for Rotor so Sonic could pull them. When they arrived at their destination, they hid in a bush and witnessed two SWAT bots capture a rabbit named Bunnie. Bunnie begged the SWAT bots not to throw her into the machine, but the SWAT bots only listened to Robotnik. Sonic attempted to rescue Bunnie, but he was halted by the rope tied around him, and the SWAT bots threw Bunnie into the roboticizer. After Rotor untied Sonic, Sonic used his Sonic Spin to cut through the SWAT bots and into the truck. Once inside, Sonic was amazed to see a roboticizer in action, but Bunnie screamed for him to turn it off. He quickly turned it off, causing Bunnie to faint. Rotor asked Sonic if Bunnie was okay and if she was turned into a robot. Sonic told him that the process was turned off halfway through, causing it to turn her into a cyborg. He handed her over to Rotor and said she was hurt and needed treatment at Knothole. However, Rotor was concerned that Robotnik could track them through her cybernetics. Sonic convinced Rotor to help Bunnie despite the risk, and they made their way back to Knothole. Once Sonic and Rotor returned to Knothole, Sonic reported to Sally. Sally was glad to see them and wanted to know who they brought back with them. Rotor said they didn't catch her name, but Bunnie regained consciousness and introduced herself. She also said she wanted to help defeat Robotnik, so Sally asked what she could do. Bunnie displayed her robotic arm's super strength by picking up Sally. She nearly kicked Sonic when she was showing off her robotic legs. Luckily, Sonic avoided getting hit. Bunnie started to flirt with Sonic, but he suggested that she should put Sally down. Bunnie was surprised to learn about Sally's royal status and accidentally dropped her. Bunnie then kneeled before Sally and told her that her dream was to become Sally's hairdresser. Sally said she needed one and asked Bunnie to join the Freedom Fighters. Before Bunnie could give Sally her answer, Antoine came running in and screaming about needing help. Bunnie was immediately interested in Antoine and asked Sonic about him. Antoine tried to warn Sally about the incoming danger, but he was interrupted when Rotor heard a rumbling noise from above. Antoine informed everyone that Robotnik had built a giant burrow bot that was tearing up the Great Forest. Sonic immediately sprung into action and Bunnie followed him. Sonic came out of the secret entrance and was ready to challenge the burrow bot, unaware that it was right behind him. Bunnie quickly pulled Sonic back into the entrance, thus saving him from being flattened. Sonic thanked her for saving him, and the two pursued Burrowbot. When they caught up to Burrowbot, Sonic used his speed to create a tornado next to it. Bunnie was impressed by Sonic's skills, but she then witnessed Burrowbot turning around. Burrowbot revealed that he had expected Sonic to come out in the open. He then used the beam to capture Sonic. Burrowbot was about to crush Sonic under his treads, but Bunnie saved him by using her super strength to flip Burrowbot on his head. Sonic told Bunnie that he would finish the job, and he began running around Burrowbot. He ran until a trench surrounded the Badnik. The trench collapsed on Burrowbot, and Sonic easily escaped by jumping out of it. Afterward, Bunnie was welcomed as a new member of the Freedom Fighters. Sometime after his previous failure, Robotnik swore to himself that Sonic would never defeat him again and that the next animal he captured would be turned into the ultimate killer robot. That's when Crabmeat informed him that the SWAT bots had returned with an animal in their wagon. Robotnik was delighted by the news and quickly ran to the wagon. Robotnik and Crabmeat were excited when they saw the large container the SWAT bots had with them. Robotnik assumed that the SWAT bots had captured a large animal, but he was shocked when they revealed a salamander instead. Robotnik became enraged at the SWAT bots' failure and started choking one of them, but he decided to keep his word to roboticize the salamander. Robotnik threw the salamander into the roboticizer and ordered Buzz Bomber to start the robotization process. Robotnik started sweating and told Buzz Bomber to turn up the AC. Buzz Bomber was unsure which button was the one for the AC, so he accidentally hit the size control knob on the roboticizer. Robotnik shouted that the robot would grow out of control and the machine exploded. When the smoke cleared, what emerged was a gigantic robotic salamander. The salamander proclaimed himself as the strongest being on Mobius and that the world would belong to its new ruler, Universe Salamander. Later on, in Knothole, Sonic, Rotor, and Sally were looking at the monitor of the Great Forest and witnessed Universe Salamander rampaging through the forest. Everyone was shocked when they saw Universe Salamander making his way to Knothole. Sonic decided to take action and intercept the giant robot before he could get to Knothole. When Sonic opened the secret entrance, he was surprised to see Robotnik fleeing for his life. Robotnik warned Sonic that Universe Salamander was too powerful to stop and said he was getting off Mobius before the robot could destroy it. Sonic turned around to see what Robotnik was running from and saw Universe Salamander behind him. Sonic tried to attack him with a spin attack, but Universe Salamander managed to trap Sonic in his mouth. The Freedom Fighters were shocked when they saw what happened to Sonic. Universe Salamander was disgusted by how Sonic tasted, but he said he would chew him up nonetheless. He then opened his mouth and revealed that Sonic was trapped between his teeth. Afterward, he began eating Sonic while continuing his rampage. Antoine swore that he would avenge Sonic, but before he could, Sally pointed out that something was wrong with Universe Salamander. It turned out that Sonic was still alive and was causing Universe Salamander to feel sick. He spun around inside the lizard's mouth to make him inhale some gas. Universe Salamander's stomach couldn't take it, and he was forced to burp up Sonic. He grabbed a tree and tried to smash Sonic with it, but Sonic avoided him and ran off. Sonic made his way to a nearby star post. Once there, he used 7 Chaos Emeralds and 50 rings he had stashed earlier to enter the special zone. Sonic gathered 49 rings while in the zone. When he collected his 50th one, he transformed into Super Sonic. Super Sonic ran up to Universe Salamander and declared that he was done destroying the forest. Universe Salamander was ready to fight Super Sonic, but Super Sonic used his intangibility power to leap through him. Meanwhile, the Freedom Fighters were amazed to see Super Sonic in action, but they lost track of him after he leaped through Universe Salamander. Suddenly, Super Sonic appeared behind Rotor and asked him if he kept the roboticizer they got when they rescued Bunnie. Rotor told him that it was in his shop. Super Sonic asked if he could borrow the reduce and enlargement component of the machine, and Rotor said he could. Super Sonic got what he needed and headed back to fight Universe Salamander. Super Sonic confronted Universe Salamander and used a device he got from Rotor to shrink him. He threatened to squash Universe Salamander, but the lizard got away. Later on, Super Sonic returned to Knothole, but he had to wait for his transformation to wear out. Later that day, Sonic became exhausted from his fight with Universe Salamander and took a nap under a tree. Tails nearly woke Sonic up with the noise he was making, but he told Sonic to go back to sleep. Tails then declared that he would watch over the Great Forest while Sonic rested. Later, Tails watched over the forest from on top of a hill, but unbeknownst to him, Robotnik and his forces weren't far. Robotnik returned to Mobius after Universe Salamander was defeated. He ordered his minions to terrorize everyone in the forest and destroy everything. Buzz Bomber noticed Tails from afar and had Orbinaut follow him to ambush Tails. Buzz Bomber swiftly grabbed Tails, and Orbinaut was prepared to hit him with one of his maces. Orbinaut threw a mace at Tails, but Tails repelled it back at him. Tails then used his tails to destroy Buzz Bomber. Tails became overconfident and flew into Robotropolis to take on Robotnik by himself. He spotted a silhouette of Robotnik and charged at it, but it turned out to be a shadow made by SWAT bots, and he crashed into the wall. The SWAT bots apprehended Tails and took him to the roboticizer. Before the SWAT bots could throw Tails into the machine, Sonic came busting through the wall with his sonic spin. Before they could be destroyed, the SWAT bots activated their self-destruct function. Sonic quickly grabbed Tails and they escaped the explosion. Shortly after, Sonic and Tails headed back to the Great Forest. Sonic's last adventure started when Rotor wanted to show his friends an ant farm advertised in a magazine. When he found them, Sonic and Tails were too busy trying to help Sally remove a spoon stuck in her pancake batter. Once they were done, Sonic apologized to Rotor for dismissing him and asked him what he wanted to show them. Rotor showed his friends the ant farm in the advertisement. Sonic asked Rotor why he was so excited about some ants. Rotor responded with his own question. Sonic joked that it would be better to see them outside the glass. Rotor didn't mind Sonic's joke and mailed in his order as soon as possible. A short time later, Robotnik received Rotor's letter and he revealed that the ant farm was a trap set up by him. Robotnik had a SWAT bot mail his phony ant farm back to Rotor and waited in anticipation for his trap to spring. Later on, Rotor was excited to receive his ant farm and show it off to everyone. Sonic still wasn't impressed and asked him about the missing ants. Rotor grabbed a metal jar and said that they were inside it. He opened up the jar, but only one bug came out of it and fell on the table. The bug suddenly ate Rotor's table, causing everyone to be shocked. They all tried to guess what kind of bug it was, but Sonic realized it was a termite. Rotor looked up what kind of termite it was in his book, and he found out it was called the Termite-nator. Rotor revealed that Termite-nator ate wood and paper, but he lost most of his book when Termite-nator ate it. As Termite-nator continued eating everything, Rotor revealed that the more wood it ate, the bigger it would grow. A dreadful thought came to Sonic's mind. He figured that Termite-nator would eventually eat all of the trees in the Great Forest, thus exposing them to Robotnik. Termite-nator grew bigger as he ate the last wooden furniture in Knothole. Sonic arrived with the last book in his hand, but Sally didn't want to lose it since it was her cookbook. Sonic asked Sally if it was the book she used to make her extra thick pancake mix from yesterday, and Sally said it was. Sonic instructed Sally to read him the same ingredients from before. He then made the mix at supersonic speed. Once he was done, he headed up to the Great Forest and got a hollow log. He got the log and fed it to Termite-nator. When Termite-nator chomped down on the log, his mouth was stuck. Sonic revealed he put the mix in the log to keep Termite-nator from eating anything else. Rotor took a closer look at Termite-nator and discovered that it was a robot made by Robotnik. He then adjusted Termite-nator's wires. The next day, Robotnik was perplexed that Termite-nator hadn't consumed the Great Forest yet. A SWAT bot came into his office and informed him that a giant wooden crate had arrived for him. Robotnik was excited to open it, but a large hand busted through the box and grabbed him before he could. It turned out that Rotor had turned Termite-nator into a metal eater and shipped him back to Robotnik. And that's it for this part of Sonic Lore History of Mobius. If you liked this video, then please sub, comment, and like for more. Thank you.